Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back. If you're just joining us today, my name is Kristen Fredericks. I'm the Digital Marketing Administrator for the company. So if it's on a screen and it has to do with marketing, it usually crosses my desk at some point in time. This is our last class for today. So we're going to talk about the Google My Business Profile. So the Google Business Profile used to be known as Google My Business. It has changed its name and it has changed its information. So some of the things that we're going to cover today, we're not going to actually go into creating an account, just because that's kind of a specialty thing, and we will talk about Google Screened at a later date. The thing we really wanted to focus on today, we'll be talking about updating your Google Business Profile, making sure that you have correct information, making sure that it's filled out to the best of your ability.
Active in the chat. This is going to be an interactive webinar anyway. You might as well get your typing fingers ready.
There we go. Don't forget to go ahead and mute and make sure your camera stay off. It just helps for a nice clean recording for our training class. I have given both the Google Screened class and I have given the How to Create Your Google Business Profile class in the past. If you need copies of those, you can always email training at bhhstown.com. And we'll be happy to send those to you. Or if you have the link to the training YouTube, you can certainly do a search for Google and you will find both of those classes in there if you'd like to jump ahead and get some more information about it. So for right now, we're going to just talk about some general terms here for the Google Business Profile. So the Google Business Profile are the search terms that show up in that directory whenever you make a search on Google. If you're looking for a business, if you're looking for a realtor, if you're looking for a particular type of business or a service or something like that, we're going to put that into that Google search bar and we're going to say, I want lawn maintenance, or I need a lawyer, or I need whatever it happens to be. Obviously, we're in real estate, so we're going to focus on real estate today. And this can be used to either find a realtor or an agency blind. So if you're not sure who you want to work with, you just need somebody in your area, you're going to put in more generic search terms. But it can also be used to search for you. And it's actually going to be one of the first things that comes up when we're looking at Google. Go to the next. All right, so why have a listing? Google Business Profile is probably one of the most important things that you can do for your business because it is ranked on Google. It is so important for this to match a lot of your other marketing. So this should complement your website. It should complement your social media. It should complement all of the other pieces that you have so that it becomes an aggregated listing on Google. When you set up your Google My Business account, your Google Business Profile, I'm going to give you one quick tip and advice is that make sure that when you set yours up, or if you're going to go ahead and change yours, that we want to make sure that you're putting your name and realtor, or maybe your team name, whatever it happens to be. It can't just be the name of the business. One of the questions that it asks first and foremost is, what is your business name? And it's so tempting to put in Rosenwomble, BHHS Town Realty, whatever it happens to be. That business name is actually your name or your team name or your entity you're doing business as, whatever it happens to be. That's actually going to be your business name. And then you can fill in the affiliate later. But when you get started, just remember that. When you're doing your Google My Business Profile account as well, if you have not set it up yet, or if you're making changes, it may ask you which address you're located at. You can certainly put in your office address, but one of the things that's going to ask you is, do you own this business? You're going to want to say no. It's also going to ask you, is this the same business? And you're going to want to say no, because those accounts already exist for the corporate entities. So for each of our offices, we actually manage those. So those are like our office location things that have official names to them. They're not tied to a specific realtor. The question that you'll want to answer on the bottom is this located inside? And the answer to that is yes. So what that does is it preserves our corporate listing for our offices, but it allows you to also have the same address shown as the offices. So it just becomes essentially an additional person or additional business at the location. So just remember to set that up that way. I do get lots and lots of little warning messages when somebody tries to claim one of our corporate accounts, when you happen to answer yes to one of those first two questions. And it's going to say, well, we'll double check and make sure you can claim this. I get those notifications, and I usually have to deny it with some formal language that sounds terrible, but it's not, I promise. And that way you can go ahead and set up your own. We'll usually reach out and just make sure that you have the steps to set up your Google Business Profile correctly if we notice that a warning comes in because somebody's trying to overwrite one of our accounts. On occasion, somehow the accounts get mixed up or aggregated differently too. Google has its own mind. And you may see me change something, or you may see a notification come out that we've had to just like change a phone number or something when it aggregated incorrectly. And again, we'll just reach out and make sure that your profile is good, our profile is good, and we can move forward. There's lots of different ways that you can enhance your Google Business Profile, and you should. All of the information that Google Business Profile provides is important, and it's ranked in the algorithm in different ways. And just like anything else with Google, we never know what's going to become more important to them than not. Probably some of the biggest things that people miss are things like the service areas. Even though you put in an office address where you're located, you can actually tell it all the different service areas that you like. And those are so important because, for example, if your office is, let's say, in Newport News, but you definitely service Poquoson and Yorktown and Williamsburg and Smithfield and fill in the blank, you want to make sure that your service areas are covered, because when somebody does a Google search on maybe real estate agent in Smithfield, you want to make sure that you're showing up in that list because you most definitely service it, but your office may not be located there. So make sure that you're putting in all of your different service areas. There's lots and lots of different fields that you can fill in. Things like you can be a veteran-owned business because you guys are all independent contractors. If that pertains to you, or a women-owned business, you can certainly use that to enhance your profile as well. Make sure that you're filling in all the different fields that you possibly can, because it's so important. The other thing that we know is important for them are pictures. And this can be anything. So normally we encourage you to make sure that you put your headshot in there. It's really important to do that, but you're also going to want to go ahead and make sure that you maybe put some pictures, maybe of a house that's for sale with your sign in front of it with all of your information on it. You can certainly put happy clients on there. You can use some of the same branding that you might use for social media, where your name and phone number is on certain things and you've kind of done a really great social media post. You can certainly use those photos. So you can get creative with that. We've seen lots of different ways, but you should definitely put a photo in. If nothing else, put in your headshot and maybe one additional photo. In addition to enhancing those photos, you can also put a description on those photos. And we know for sure that Google looks at those descriptions and tries to determine if that business is right for someone else. So if you're talking about putting in your headshot, for example, don't just leave it blank on the description. You're going to want to put Mary Agent, real estate agent located in whatever it happens to be, or, you know, Mary Agent, realtor with, and then put your business name. We know that those descriptions are important. They're also becoming more important for things like ADA compliance, where somebody might view a photo on an internet search for whatever reason, and they may have to use verbal cues with those photos. So you're going to want to make sure that you have an accurate description on them as well. You're going to be able to enhance your profile with lots of different services. We see this skipped a lot as well. And those services can be lots of different things. So, and you have to take a look at all their different categories. Sometimes there's 5 different ways to say the exact same thing, but you can use them all as your services. Make sure you're hitting first-time home buyers, buyer services, seller services, you know, moves, relocations, whatever it happens to be. There's going to be lots of different services that you can check. The next thing that we know is that reviews are important. One of the things that changed within the last couple of years with reviews is that they are using it to obviously rank those different business profiles when somebody's just doing a generic search. But we can now actually sort by review, which is something that's fairly new. So we want to make sure that we have lots of different reviews in there, and they can be sorted by the highest rating, and they can be sorted by the most as well. We want to make sure that we're encouraging people to send in those reviews and making sure that we're also answering those reviews. We also know that answering reviews is important. So even if somebody leaves you a 5-star review, you're going to want to log in and say, thank you so much for your review. I loved helping so-and-so and so-and-so. Look forward to, you know, seeing you again. Whatever it happens to be, make sure that you respond to your reviews. And then we also know that we have questions and comments. That actually is not about questions and comments about this class. That's about questions and comments in your profile. And the fun thing is you don't have to wait for somebody to ask a question in order to make a question. We know that those questions and answers are important. So we know that the questions and comments mean something to Google. You can actually ask different questions that pertain to your business. You can ask basic questions like, how do I search for a home? How do I apply for a mortgage? Which neighborhoods have dog parks in Virginia Beach? You can ask your own questions on your profile and then provide answers, because it actually doesn't show who asked the question. And all of those questions and answers can be picked up by Google and makes you a certain expert in certain things. So there's lots of different things you can do on your Google business profile that can help elevate that to the top of the list, but also help with your search engine optimization. So again, we know this is the modern day Yellow Pages. We know how this looks. I'm hoping everybody has seen this. We're going to go ahead and take a look at some examples here. But this is my favorite part. This is all free. It's all provided by Google. So the only portion of this that is not free are the Google screens. Those are actually local ads. But everything else pertaining to Google Business Page is free. It's free. You just have to create a Google Business Page. You just have to maintain your Google Business Page. There is no charge for this. And it's a wonderful way to make sure that you have a great presence online. All right, let's go take a look at some stuff here. Up here. All right, I'm going to go ahead and take a look at some examples here first. But I'm going to start out here. If for whatever reason you do not have a Google Business profile yet, you can go to google.com/business to create one. And it's just going to go ahead and take you through, again, step by step. It's going to ask you what your business name is. Again, that's going to be your name, followed by realtor, company, whatever it happens to be. You can edit it later. It's okay. It's going to ask you for your address. It's going to ask you for some open hours. It's just going to ask you for some basic information in order to create this profile. And then it's going to go ahead and let you edit it later. And you'll have a lot more options open to you, but you can go ahead and just fill that out. If you already have a Google Business profile, you can also use this place to log in now. So you'll have to log in using a Google account. It doesn't necessarily have to be a Gmail account. It can just be a Google account. So whatever you happen to sign in with Google, it'll be there. So the top question that comes up right at this very spot here is, I don't know how to log into my business profile, but I have one. There is a way for you to claim your profiles, and I'm going to show you that when we get to some of the examples here. You're going to have to go through a process in order to claim it. One of the things that I've noticed that has happened a lot, we help a lot of agents through this, is that HomeSnap has actually created a lot of Google Business profiles for our agents and manages them. They may not have given you access to be able to manage your own business profile. You should contact them and make sure that they give you management rights to your own profile, because you definitely want to manage your own profile in the future. You can continue to have them post things for you and to generate business on them and things like that. But you definitely want to be a person who can make edits and have control over your business profile. But you'll have to reach out to HomeSnap to do that. It's one of the things that we actually can't do for you here. In addition, when you have to claim a profile the manual way, you're going to have to verify a few things, and that's okay. It's pretty easy to do. It's either going to make a phone call or it's going to send a postcard, and it's going to make you put in a code in order to claim your profile. So it can take a couple of weeks to just kind of work through that process. And if you have any questions about that, we're always here to kind of help you walk through those different steps. One of the things that we find is that you may have a business profile, but the information might be out of date. We have had an agent recently who had this, where the business profile was created and it was 2 agencies ago, and it was a building that doesn't even exist anymore. There was no way to verify that. So what I want you to do in that case, excuse me, is contact us in web support. So we have a nice Google verified account, which means if we go in and suggest edits to Google, they often make them sometimes it can take a couple of weeks to do, but they'll often make them for us, especially if we can give them verification that we need to make changes. So for example, for that agent, we said, we want to change this address on this profile, and here's the real data that shows that they're here. Here's the agent's website. Here's their office location. Here's where they are on our agent roster. Here's where they are on our website. Notice that all of this matches this, and it usually goes through. And then we can go ahead and proceed with that verification process again. where, you know, we send the postcard or the phone number to the right place, and then we can go ahead and go through those steps. So I like to just put that out there because it happens fairly often. And especially as we are all getting ready to go through changes, I'm going to be going through lots and lots of the corporate changes, just like you guys are. So all of us are going to be doing this. That's usually the things that come up is I don't have access to it. I haven't created one, or I'm not sure how to get myself verified in order to get access to my account. So I just wanted to cover those up front. All right, so let's take a look at some different results, and then we're going to take a look at some editing here. So I'm just going to start out with real estate agent in Suffolk. And I want to show you a couple of different things and how those different searches can bring up different results. This is blind. This changes for me every time I do this class. So I want you to notice those top parts here, the real estate agents in Suffolk. These are Google screened. These are actually local ads. We will do another class on this. And again, I have already given the class on Google Screen. So if you want to know how to appear in that section, take a look at the YouTube channel, and the class is in there, or email training. We'll be happy to send it to you. So we're not going to cover that today, but we'll cover that in the future. But do know that you need a Google business profile in order to go through the process of being Google screened. So we're going to go ahead and scroll down here. We have some sponsored content here, and we're going to go down to the businesses. So I've searched real estate agent in Suffolk. So a term, you know, real estate agent in Suffolk, and I'm bringing in a real estate agent. I'm bringing in, okay, we have Weichert in here, and I have first class real estate barn door homes in here, and we can see that we can continue to expand this with more businesses. Notice that we have these different ratings here and different hours that we can search by. So we have lots of different options, and this is why filling out some of these profiles are so important. I want you to notice one thing, and I wanted to do this example because you're like, well, there's no BHHS stuff in here, but that's, you know, but that's okay. Let me show you something else. All I did was change my search term to realtor in Suffolk. Notice that my sponsored ads have changed here. And I still have some more sponsored ads here. But if I go down to businesses, notice that we've picked up an agent. So Kathy Worthen here, who's a realtor in one of our Harborview offices, and she is now showing up on this section. So the reason she's most likely showing up as the realtor in Suffolk versus real estate agent in Suffolk, even though we're searching essentially for the same thing, is most likely due to things like her about section or her keyword section, or things that she has, you know, tagged in her profile, or it can even be the description on the photos. That's why I said it can be so important for you to make sure that you have all of that filled out. But I wanted to point this out to make sure that you're using all the different terms that people might actually search on for you as well. So we know that not everybody uses the word realtor. They're usually looking for real estate agent, you know, things like that. So make sure that when you're typing that out in your about section, maybe use both terms to make sure that you're going to be able to be pulled up into both of those different sections. We also notice that all of these businesses here have a very high rating. Kathy happens to have a 5.0 with 51 reviews, which is fantastic. So that may be one of the reasons why she's ranking so high too. Google is saying, you're looking for a realtor, this person has great reviews, they must have realtor in their profile, or something in the giant algorithm that says this is the person that should show up, and that's why she's there as well. But if I also search her directly, so maybe I'm looking for her on the internet, I need to contact her, I need to talk to her, whatever it happens to be. If I pop her name in here, we're obviously going to see this preview show up because Google is going, okay, you want to speak to a very specific person, and this is where she is. Do not forget that all of this is based on your location as well. I happen to choose Suffolk because I happen to be working out in this area. And so whenever I pull up results, if I try to pull up something from outside of my immediate area, it's not going to pull in as many results. So I'm working from the Suffolk stuff today just because it happens to be in my immediate location for where my computer is located as well. So we can see that Kathy has her stuff filled out here. Here's her Google reviews. And of course, we can go into more information. We can go off to her website. We can do all sorts of fun stuff here. I want to take a look at a couple of examples of some agents who are doing this really right, who are within our network, so that you can kind of see what we're going to look at when we go to do some editing here. This is one of my favorite people to follow, and if you're not following her, you should. This is Home Sweet Heidi. This is down in the BHHS affiliate in North Carolina. Her team does an absolutely amazing job with marketing, and I'd love to use them as an example for some of our stuff here. But I want you to see, I did a search on Home Sweet Heidi, went ahead and brought her up directly here. And you can see how her profile is filled out. So she's going to have photos, and these are photos of her team. She has her location in here. She has her icon set up to be something professional. We find this pretty often. Remember when I said that you were going to need to sign into your Google account in order to create this? That icon actually comes from your Google account. So if you have something that might be unprofessional in there, or sometimes we use an avatar, an icon, or something like that, you might want to switch it to a logo or your professional headshot. It's going to start to bring in some basic information, and all of this is stuff that's going to be available in her profile. She's going to be able to put her website in there. Here's her Google reviews. What is she? She's a real estate agent in Raleigh, North Carolina. You can say you're a real estate agent. You can say you're a real estate agency. There's lots of different categories that are going to be available in here for you. You can choose multiples too. So what she provides, appointments, on-site services, here's her address, how often is she open? Now do remember that we had that search bar that said what our hours were. It is up to you what you want to put in for your hours. Some agents like that delineation between their personal life and their home life. I am available between 9 and 5, whatever it happens to be, or I'm available for between this time and this time. We also find that the other choice is open 24 hours because you can search on a home on your website for 24, it's open 24 hours. It's really up to you what you want to put in that hours section. There's no right answer and there's no wrong answer. Just know that it's a searchable topic. You also have a phone number in here. So I want you to notice a couple of things as we start to get in here, that we have suggest and edit, or do you own this business? This is where you can start to get verified and claimed. So for example, when I was helping that agent who had the wrong address in this location, I was able to go in as a Google verified user and say, I want to suggest an edit. They accepted my edit of that particular address after a couple of weeks with the proof that I provided. And then that agent was able to go and click this button that says own this business. And they were able to go in and start providing information to claim this. And again, go through that verified process by either getting a phone call from Google or by getting that postcard from Google. If you haven't logged into your Google Business Profile account in a while, I'm assuming we may have a few of these coming up, especially as we go through a name change or as you want to edit your business. So we'll definitely try to help you go through that process. This is where you can do your questions and answers. Nobody has actually asked a question in here, but you most certainly can. And it does look at these answers and questions and answers in the algorithm if you want to actually talk about things that go on in the business. It's going to start to bring in reviews from the web. This is aggregated. We actually can't fix this, change this, or anything else. But this is where I said it was important that your reviews, or excuse me, your name matched from your social media to your Google business profile. Try to make sure that your digital footprint is the same in as many places as you can, because it's actually aggregating this data. So it knows that Home Sweet Heidi for this profile is the same as Home Sweet Heidi on Facebook. It's the same as Home Sweet Heidi on Zillow. So we're seeing this aggregate more often. We can't say, here's my link to my Facebook reviews. Here's my link to my Zillow reviews. It's going to try to bring those in automatically. I'm going to guess, this is an educated guess here, that they are going to continue to kind of do this blind aggregate data more and more. So we should just be aware of what's on our profile and what they might be bringing in. We obviously get updates from Google from time to time. And if we ever see this change, we might put out an announcement or a little video on it or something like that. But this is part of that information where we actually can't provide them the links. They're actually going out to get it. We have noticed on occasion that those links are wrong. And they're very, very, very difficult to change. So if you ever need help with that, let us know in web support. Sometimes we can get it changed. Sometimes they do pick up the wrong person, especially if you have a very common name. You're going to see all the different reviews that are in here. There's that about section, and that about section is going to have lots of different keywords in it. So they're talking about the area and property values and all sorts of fun things on there. And they have not posted any updates, but you can actually do posts from here. We see a lot of people using HomeSnap for this, but you can certainly create your own as well. So you can post on your Google business profile, just like you would post on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, whatever it happens to be. So this is a great place to especially talk about your services. Google is in favor of update posts that definitely talk about the business versus something more generic, or I hate to say fluffy, but that kind of, feel good kind of stuff. It definitely likes stuff more about a business and related to the business. So this is a great place to talk about your services, market trends, home value, that kind of thing. It's going to want you to talk about those kind of services. Again, it's aggregating those different profiles that have come in here. And then it's going to have some suggestions here at the end of other people who might be related to this. We can't change this. We can't fix this. You know, sometimes these suggestions are not what we'd like to see on our own profile. It's Google. There's nothing we can do about it. I want to show you the other way that these kind of things can display. This happens to be a real estate agent in Dallas. Went ahead and brought this one up for Croft Realtors. So if you happen to be doing a map search instead of doing something in your actual Google feed, this is what it looks like. Again, it's the same data, it's just displayed very differently. But I did want you to notice that you can sort by rating and hours. And you have the difference between relevance, and that's where all of those search terms are going to come in. That's where filling in all those services are going to come in, versus the distance from your actual location. Because we are such a relocation dependent area, our relevance scores are really important. It's one of the reasons why we emphasize making sure that you're filling out your profile to the absolute best of your ability, because we know that at least for us, our relevance scores are important because a lot of people are searching from outside the area. So same thing here. I'm just going to take a look at them. They've obviously posted a photo. They've posted some information here. So they have their office, more team stuff. This is a great place to maybe put your award photos. There's some happy people with their sign, and some information, lots of happy clients in here. This is the kind of stuff that we like to see. It certainly brings it to be more relevant. We can certainly see that it matches their 5-star review. They definitely have happy people, happy clients. We can kind of get a glimpse into their personality here, even though it's a business profile. And again, they have all the same information. So it's going to aggregate their website. You have the directions, but it's displayed in a slightly different way when you look at it in the map view. You can see that we have the overview here. So this is their information. But notice that I like this example because they have filled out a lot of services here. So there's lots of different ways of saying essentially the same thing. So they filled it out that they do buyer, first-time home buyer, international buyers, luxury properties, new sale, new construction services, properties, property rentals. So you can obviously see all the different categories here. You can also make up your own. If you need to. So if you do specialize in something very specific, you know, let's just say waterfront homes, equestrian homes, land and farms, whatever it happens to be, you can also add some of your additional services in there as well. You can see all their different reviews in here and notice that they are answering them. So they're a fantastic realtor. Sabrina, thank you so much for the opportunity to work for you. It was a true honor. This is a great place for you to also pick up an extra keyword that Google might like. So thank you so much for the opportunity to, you know, buy your home in Dallas or a neighborhood or a particular thing. It was a true honor. Sometimes the keywords are relevant, sometimes they're not. We don't want to overuse it. But it's also a great place to kind of sneak in maybe into a traditional keyword for Google in there. But I do love that they respond to all of them, and they respond very quickly, by the way. They have posted some updates. So unlike Home Sweet Heidi, they're posting some basic stuff. What is your home worth? Call us. We're happy to help. So make sure the price is right. We'll help you. So that kind of information is on there. And then, of course, I already showed you the photos that are in there as well. So let me go to a live version here, just so you can see. This is going to be a blank version. I'm not going to use a real agent today just because these are very temperamental and I do not want to mess up one of these for one of our actual agents, but I can show you basically the same thing in here as well. So you have a couple of different ways to get to your Google Business profile. You do need to be logged in for this to work. So remember, if you are not logged in, go to google.com/business and log in, and you can go through that way. If you happen to be logged into your Google account, like me, I stay logged in all the time. I just open Google and I'm logged in. You'll be able to do it this way. So you can either search Google Business Profile, and since it knows that your Google account is tied to you, if you scroll down, you'll be able to see your profile here. You manage this profile. Here you are. You can view the profile and you can manage it. In addition to that, you can also Google your own name or your own entity, whatever you happen to put in, and it'll also bring up this information as well. And again, this is a blank profile here. Just because we're starting out in this direction here, but you can see all the different things that you'll be able to do. So this is how we're going to be able to change all of the different things. We're going to be able to edit our profile, add our services and bookings and calls, and set up all of this information in here. I am definitely not the interior designer in Virginia Beach, by the way. My goal of interior design is letting somebody else do it. So we have all of our different profiles and reviews and all sorts of things that we can do here. We want to go ahead and edit our profile just so I can show you some of this basic information, because this is where we will be making those changes, especially as we do a name change, or again, if we want to update it. So on my business name, if I were a realtor here, I might want to say Kristen Fredericks, real estate agent, or I could say realtor, and I could just leave it at that. I might want to say realtor with Berkshire and fill in my whole company name here and let it be long. It's only going to really show the first part, but sometimes we want to go ahead and pick up those keywords, especially if somebody is looking for a Berkshire Hathaway affiliate or a Berkshire Hathaway agent. We increase our chances of showing up in that list. So that's what we want to do. What we don't want to do again here is put just the name of the company, because it starts to conflict with the actual company ones, and then I get the notifications and I have to work with you to get it all fixed. So for our business name, we want to make sure that we go ahead and put that in. Once you make this change, so for those of us who are going to have to change names and things like that, it's going to say that it's going to take a couple of days to verify and to update, and that's okay. I've seen it, I've seen it done overnight. I've seen it as long as 10 days. So just give it an opportunity to go ahead and change. It's not going to be instantaneous. So when we flip that switch and turn on those names and we're ready to go and it's all legally legal, you can go ahead and do your business name change, but do know that it's probably going to take a couple of days for Google just to go, yep, this is a really legit change and this is where we want to be. So we have the different business categories. And again, it's going to let you choose different categories and you can put more than one. These are ranked. So if you start searching something like property management and it's not your main focus of what you do in your business, it's going to actually rank some of these categories. So you may want to start out with maybe real estate agent first, and then you can add additional categories from there. So just remember that these are ranked. This is the same for services as well. So just be aware that you might want to just think about your mental radius a little bit. This is my core business, and then branch out from there. Here's where we can change our description. Our opening date, I've seen agents use opening date as the opening date of when the company was formed. I've also seen it as a licensing date. It's not a required field, but it does give some longevity. I haven't seen this really affect the algorithm very much. A lot of people leave it blank. And then, of course, we can go into our phone numbers. We can add our website. Obviously, I've got the corporate website in here, but you would want to add your own. Your website should be your main website. I know it's really tempting to do, I'm going to just say maryagent.com/homes for sale or go off to a very specific page. But in order for your profiles to aggregate correctly, remember, Google's just trying to find stuff to add to your profile sometimes. It's going to start to match things like this. So if your Facebook account says, maryagent.com, maryagenthomes.com, you'll want this to say the same thing. So we make sure that we bring in the right accounts. This is where you're going to be able to do your different business locations. So here we go. And you'll be able to say whether you work in an office. Do you do, on-site appointments? Do you take in-office appointments? And this will change. We have some agents who only, work exclusively out of their home office. And they do, on-site appointments or, whatever it happens to be, whatever fits your business is fine here. Here's your service areas that you can put in here. Discard those changes. And it's going to let me pull in service areas. Now, it is trying to find things around where I'm located right now. So if you can hazard a guess that I might be in Smithfield right now, you might be right. So if you're sitting in your office doing this, it's going to try to pull in things that are around you. And I love the fact that it's pulling in some of these other keywords. Notice that, okay, Battery Park and Rescue are very, very tiny towns out here. You might not think about pulling that in. Ben's Church is an area. It's a huge new subdivision out here. Very popular. It's still being built out, still has hundreds of homes left, but it's not an actual town. So your service areas can actually be other things. So think about those neighborhoods that you do. Think about the different just generalized areas. So things like Greenbrier, for example. It's an aggregate of lots of different communities in an area, but it's not an actual town. So think about those things in general. I love the fact that it's trying to offer suggestions. I would certainly take them because Google knows what Google wants. So you can put a lot of those things in here. If you don't happen to actually service something, don't put it in here because it also dilutes your profile and your main business. So if you know that your core businesses really focus around, these particular areas, this is really your service area, just go ahead and leave it at that. Because you certainly don't want to dilute your service areas that you have, especially when it starts to rank them in there. There's that business hours. You can add additional hours if you need to. Obviously, we're not a restaurant, so it's not going to have a whole lot in here. And then it's going to ask you to add some more from the business. Now, these will start to change as you add additional things about your services and you pick different businesses and stuff like that. So you're going to want to go ahead and choose different things. Do you offer online appointments? Yes or no? Is an appointment required? We have different crowds and things like that. This is all going to change based on what's in your profile. And then of course you have more from your business. So if any of these fit you, feel free to use them as well. Sometimes people can search on it and rank on it. We're not 100% sure how this is going to affect the algorithm in the future, but again, it's there for you to use if you need it. Additionally, you'll be able to read your reviews. So if you have more reviews on here, you can go ahead and log in and you can answer all of those. This is a button that people often miss, which is get more reviews. It's going to bring you to a page where you actually have a review link right here. So you can copy this and you can send this to a client. You can add this to an e-card. You can add it to whatever. It's a great practice. Maybe that says, you send it out to your core clients or your sphere of influence, those people who have really worked with you. And you can say, hey, I am, trying to build up my Google business profile. I love doing business with you. I hope you love doing business with me. If you could leave me a review, that would be fantastic. And you can go ahead and add this link in here and you can go ahead and have maybe collect more reviews and try to get your star ratings up a little bit. But a lot of people miss that button about get more reviews because it does give you a link directly to your review page. So if somebody were to click on that, it would bring them right up to the page where they could leave a star review, they could leave your review, and it would show up on your profile. Again, that's under reviews and this little button here that says get more reviews. Everybody has their own custom link. You can receive messages through here, so make sure that the email address you use in here is one that you'll use for notifications. You can add your photos in here. So if I go ahead and add photos, it's going to ask me to add those photos. And then it's going to ask me to put in those descriptions. By the way, videos is fairly new in here. You can also add videos. So for those of you who may have done an introduction video, you can certainly do that in here as well. And then it's going to show you some additional things. So if you need to edit your services, for example, telemarketing is not one. I have it in here as I'm a marketing consultant, but we don't obviously have more things for real estate if you choose the real estate category in here, and it's going to let you choose. So you're going to have lots and lots of little options here. That's where you're going to get the first time home buyers, relocation, blah, blah, whatever it happens to be for real estate. And then here's where you can add your own custom service. So if you do something very specific, you can certainly go ahead and put that in there. If you just want to be creative, you can certainly put that in here as well. I'm going to add, just don't violate fair housing, don't violate ethics, and whatever you do, don't get us drugged before deport. Thank you. When you put your services in here. But this might be a great place to pick up additional keywords. So I always look at things like some of the categories in here might be relocation. That's great. Maybe we put in here military relocation or PCS. So you might want to just pick up some of those extra keyword terms that might come in handy as people are searching. Again, not 100% sure how this is going to fit into the algorithm, but it's certainly important enough for Google that it does look at the different services when people are looking for different things. So do to use those keywords that are in there as well. And then you have the option, of course, to add some additional things. And there's that Q&A for you here. You can actually ask yourself a question and you can answer it as well. And again, those come in handy when people are doing different searches for different keywords and things like that. It's going to give you suggestions of things that you can do. For me, it's asking me to complete my profile. What do I need to get more visits? What do I need to do to set up bookings or turn on my chat or add additional updates? It's going to continue to tell me, hey, you haven't done something in a while. Like, are your hours still correct? Do you want to add a post? Do you want to create an ad? Things like that. Also keep an eye out too, because when you create your business profile or when you edit it, you're often going to get an email from Google that says, hey, thanks for doing your business profile. Here's some ad credits. And do take advantage of them. It's a real thing. And it will allow you to do some advertising. I've seen it, at $50 and $100. I've actually seen it as high as $500 for some of those ad credits. So if Google gives you credit for ads, please use it. And you'll often get an email about it after you've gone ahead and changed your profile. One of the things I want to say about creating that ad, though, is that credit is usually good for about 30 days. Watch your disclaimers on it. Make sure that your profile is up to date before you do it, especially as we go through this transition, because one of the things we don't want to do is create an ad and have the wrong name on it. So go ahead and do your name changes, get your profile revamped, really get it great and everything, and then go ahead and use that ad credit once you see that Google has approved your changes. You will get an email from Google that says, hey, your changes have been made. So you'll know when it gets made, and it's going to go ahead and send it to the email that's associated with this profile when you log in. So do keep an eye out for all these different suggestions from Google. I'm going to stop here just because we start to get into some more advanced stuff, and I've obviously run over my time a little bit, but I think this is so important, especially as we're getting ready to move into this transition. We now have 700 people who are going to have to update their profiles on here. So it's something I definitely wanted to cover, and we're definitely here to help you too if you need it. I'm happy to take any questions you might have, and if not, always available again, websupport@rwtown.com. Or you can email training and we can send you those other classes if you need some more advanced work or if you're looking to create that profile. Are there any questions? No questions. All right. Well, I thank you for choosing to spend your morning and part of your afternoon with me. I know that you have lots of other places to be, but I do appreciate your time today. Thank you so much, and hopefully I'll see you in a future class.